Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here. As you can see, I am by myself. It is Sunday night in the big town, and we are going to talk a lot of great Dodgers baseball tonight. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff on the hot stove. How about all the moves the Dodgers have already made this year? How about some of the moves? Hey, Brandon Gomes told you the Dodgers are absolutely not done wheeling and dealing. So let's get a good crowd in here. Let's get to talking some Dodgers baseball, and let's get it going on Sunday night in the big town. So, hey, what's up, Wilmer Edwards? Thank you so much for joining tonight. So before we get started, just kind of wanted to make sure that you knew to hit that like button, subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, not just in the chat section here, but also in the regular comment section of the video. More so than anything, I wanted to go over my schedule for this week. Super excited. Just this weekend, just today, actually yesterday, got to talk to Carson Hobbs, got his interview uploaded and armed for tomorrow. Every day in the offseason, I plan on at least almost every day that I have a video ready. We're going to have lunch with the prospects, right? So lunch with me. It's noon my time, 10 o'clock Pacific. I release a new interview with a new prospect every single day. Usually it's guys you haven't heard of. Sometimes it is guys you have. My goal is to get basically every prospect in the organization on here for you get to hear from him. And then what I'm going to start doing on these Sunday night shows, I'm going to take the highlights, like if there's a pitcher I talk to, like Jared Karros, right? I'm going to take like the highlights of him talking about his pitch mix. I'm going to work that in. Usually that's like a 1 or 2 minute segment. And then I'm going to put those together for our big Down on the Farm segments on Sunday night. So tonight, at the end of the show, stick around. You're going to hear from Jared Karros. You're going to hear from Kenny George. You're going to hear from Jose Rodriguez. And you're going to hear from Peter Hubeck. And you're going to hear all the important parts of the interviews that were released this week. Their pitch mixes, what they're doing in the offseason, their goals for next year, all that kind of stuff, all the important stuff. We're going to cover that in our Down on the Farm segment tonight as we finish this show. It's about 18 minutes long. I'm super excited about it. That's going to kind of tie back into all of the prospects we've talked to. If you don't want to go and listen to those 30-minute interviews, the whole thing, then each Sunday night, then you can sit down and listen to basically the cliff notes of all of them and get every interview done in 18 minutes and get the gist of all of them and get to know the prospects better. Also, on the schedule for this week, so we're going to have Carson Hobbs, our interview Monday. We're going to have on Tuesday Eric Swan, one of the most talented young right-handed pitchers in baseball, not just with the Dodgers. We're going to have Jose Izada, who is a very slick fielding infielder who finished last year with AA Tulsa. And we're going to talk to T.Y., Taylor Young, who stole 56 bases 2 years ago. Stole, I don't know exactly how many last year, but it was quite a bit. The all-time hits leader from Louisiana Tech, great player. Then also I have reached out to Dylan Campbell and made contact with him. I have not gotten a response back from him, but hopefully those are our 5 interviews for this week. And then Tuesday night, make sure and join at 5 o'clock Pacific. We are going to be talking to the pitching coach for Great Lakes. He's going to talk about David Anderson. He's going to talk about Jackson Ferris. He's going to talk about Jared Karros. He's going to talk about all the best pitchers in the Dodgers organization. And then Thursday night, we're going to be talking to Sean Coyne, who is the Rancho pitching coach. Going to talk to him all about the Rancho pitchers, including Edgardo Henriquez, Reynaldo Yeen, Wyatt Kroll, Patrick Copen, Luke Fox, Alex Makarowicz, all these guys. So we have a ton of prospect coverage coming your way, plus our live show Wednesday night, our live show Friday night, the big town. So a ton of coverage coming your way, and we're going to talk all about Dodgers baseball. So that's everything we have on the docket for this week. Super excited. The big topic tonight, no doubt about it, is Tanner Scott. So here's kind of how I'm going to approach this. Some things that we predicted that were going to happen. If you remember my wish list was sign one of one of the three aces, starting pitchers, and that those were between Max Fried, Blake Snell, and Corbin Burns. My number one preference was Corbin Burns, but I would, like I said many times, totally happy and could not be any happier with any of the three. Check on that. You got Blake Snell. I also wanted Blake Trinan signed. Check on that. Okay. Ha-Seong Kim, haven't got that yet. Teo, haven't got that yet. One of my kind of sleepers, I've said all offseason that the Brewers, we have not wavered. The Brewers were going to trade Devin Williams. And, of course, you're only going to get this year and then you're going to lose them. And then another thing that we've said all year is that this is the highest peak value for Gavin Lux. This would make the most sense to trade him, especially to a place like Milwaukee, where he grew up. I mean, he could go and be in a perfect situation. Hey, not that I don't want Gavin Lux on my team. I love Gavin Lux. Nobody's a bigger fan of Gavin Lux. But I've said all offseason, I really thought the Dodgers would package Gavin Lux. We've said they were going to trade Hunter Fiducia. Lo and behold, those are the two names that came out as far as the possibilities of Devin Williams. And I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be straight up with it because that's how we do things on here. And whenever we come straight up with stuff, it's not like we're trying to throw shade or say, hey, anybody, it's just, hey, this is my opinion. This is how I would have done it. It doesn't mean that I'm right. Doesn't mean that I'm wrong. Just means this is how I would have done it. And this is what I've been saying all year. I think it was a mistake that the Dodgers didn't beat the Yankees to Devin Williams. I think giving them Gavin Lux, giving them Hunter Fiducia, and then probably one of your prospects lower down the ranks that are fairly well thought of would have been a great move to go get Devin Williams. I like the fact that it's a one-year deal. At the end of the year, you have the flexibility to do whatever you want. Tanner Scott, yes, great pitcher. Would he be great with the Dodgers? 100%. But he is going to be way more expensive for, in my opinion, the same production you would get in terms of having a closer type of guy. Now, it does give you a higher leverage lefty, but I've said many times I'm not big on the lefty versus righty thing as far as, hey, you need a lefty just because he's a lefty. If you were to say that about anybody, it would be Tanner Scott watching him pitch against Shohei Ohtani. If you go all the way back to our shows last year, we wanted Tanner Scott when he was with the Marlins because we wanted him in a trade because then again, like Devin Williams, now you're not having to pay for a free agent. What I don't like about the Tanner Scott deal is that you have to pay for a free agent, which means you're going to have to dish out 40. You're going to have to dish out 4 years. You're going to have to dish out 4 years to a 30-year-old reliever, and it's going to have to be $65 million, somewhere in that range. That's risky. Now, I know it's Christmas time, and it sounds like a shiny new toy, and nobody's going to say he's not one of the best relief pitchers in baseball, and nobody's going to say the Dodgers don't need that. But I'm going to also say there's a lot of risk involved going and getting a relief pitcher who is already 30 years old and signing them to a 4-year contract at $165 million. There's risk in that. Now, would I do that? Yes. But my point is that's why I wanted Devin Williams over Tanner Scott. But I think what we're also saying here is, do you want Max Fried, do you want Blake Snell, or do you want Corbin Burns? The answer to that, you want to know what it is? The answer to that is yes. So do you want Devin Williams or Tanner Scott? The answer to that is yes. Well, you weren't willing to trade for Devin Williams, and so now that leaves you with Tanner Scott. So the question is, do the Dodgers get aggressive? We know that they're not huge on trading away prospects, but I will say this, that they have done a tremendous, tremendous job of saving all their chips. We've said this all year. I've said to go get a shortstop or a center fielder possibly, but they've saved all their chips. They have the money, definitely. This wouldn't be a trade situation. So I'm saying this to say, if you get Tanner Scott out of free agency, now you've done all of this. You haven't traded any of your prospect capital away, and Now you still have the ability to figure out what you want to do at shortstop or center field. Yes, I know they've said Mookie Betts is working out at shortstop. I just can't get it through my head that that actually is the solution at shortstop. I just can't get it through my head that you go get Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, you re-sign Blake Trinan, you possibly go get Tanner Scott, you're looking at re-signing Teo, you have the prime of Mookie, and the prime of Freddie, and you're going to use the prime of Mookie to put him at a position that's going to make him average. So if he's a second baseman, I think he's an all-star level type second baseman. If he's a shortstop, I think he's league average. So I can't wrap my head around this being more than some kind of leverage play. Like if you say Mookie's moving to shortstop, you make other teams feel like that, then they think, well, shortstop's already taken care of. So they have leverage here or there, maybe to go get like a Devin Williams to leverage Gavin Lux, that type of deal. Because here's the deal. If you come straight up and say Mookie Betts is your second baseman, now what leverage do you have with Gavin Lux in a trade scenario? Versus if you say Mookie Betts is our shortstop, Gavin Lux is our everyday second baseman. Hey, we're not even looking to trade Gavin Lux. That creates leverage for the Gavin Lux situation. Now, how much leverage? We could all agree and disagree on that, but it does definitely at least move the ball forward towards positive leverage with the Gavin Lux situation. And, hey, worst comes to worst, I think what the Dodgers are laying out right here, and I could be totally wrong, they're laying out, worst comes to worst, we'll roll with it, we'll go with it, we think we're good enough, and we'll get after it from that perspective. But I still think it's a leverage move, and I'm going to say it again. If you sign Tanner Scott instead of Devin Williams, you have acquired Blake Snell. You've acquired one of the best starting pitchers that strikes out as many or more people, one of the highest strikeout starting pitchers in baseball. Then you've also acquired one of the highest strikeout relievers, both left-handed, and you've done it without using any of your prospect capital. So at that point, do you really just keep all of your prospect capital as just backup depth just to play Mookie Betts at shortstop? See how this just none of this equation is making sense, because if you re-sign Teo for whatever it is Teo is going to sign for, he's also a free agent. He's not going to require you to dip into your prospect capital. So if you re-sign Teo, you go get Tanner Scott, and you have not given up any of your chips, you're going to do all that, and you're going to save Dalton Rushing and all the pitchers, Ben Kasparius, Landon Knack, Nick Frasso, River Ryan, all these guys. You're going to save all these guys. Jackson Ferris, Jared Karros, Ryan Ward, Cody Hosey, Hunter Fiducia, Austin Gothier, up and down. You're going to save all these guys just as what? I mean, what's the purpose of having those guys? You're going to do that, and you're just going to have all these guys having this all-star team in Oklahoma City just so Mookie Betts can play shortstop? That equation doesn't add up to me. So just kind of my brain is working like, yeah, I know I know, hey, it's kind of like a used car salesman. They come out and they go, man, this is as low as we can get. And you go, well, I appreciate it. See ya. And they go, well, what do you mean? You're leaving? Yeah, absolutely. Well, hold on. Let me see what we can do, right? One of those type deals. With this not adding up, I just can't see this being anything other than leverage. Maybe not. And maybe just the Dodgers haven't found the right shortstop or the right center fielder or whoever it may be to figure out that problem as we go. So that's just kind of my initial thoughts on that. Wow, what a crowd we have logged in. The Baseball Channel, Showtime LA. Hey, Casey, has Hope surpassed DePaula in your estimation? I have not seen Zaire Hope play extended period of time long enough. Both of those guys have elite, I would say with both of those guys, what they both do is the exact same thing well. They both hit the ball hard, very, very, very hard. Josue DePaula, will hit a line drive over the second baseman's head like 116 miles an hour. Zaire Hope, the difference between Josue De Paula and Zaire Hope is that Zaire Hope will hit that same 116 mile an hour ball, but it'll have a launch angle about 20 degrees higher. And it'll become a bomb instead of like a double. So has Zaire Hope passed Josue De Paula? I'm not big on comparing prospects, but I would say they're different. So go back to my Kenny George interview. Kenny George is a guy that puts the ball in play, hits the ball the other way. He uses speed. He gets on base. I think Josue De Paula is a guy that can have big-time bat-to-ball skills with high exit velos. And then Zaire Hope can be totally different, and he can have the big-time exit velos and the higher launch angles. So kind of what I was getting to with my Kenny George interview, man, it's cool to have all three of those types of players, right? So when you look at Zaire Hope and Josue De Paula, they're just different. Josue De Paula is a bat-to-ball, low launch angle guy, whereas Zaire Hope's a guy that's going to hit tanks. So I don't think one is better than the other. I just think they're different, and I think when they play together, it's a fantastic combination, especially whenever you sprinkle in a Kenny George type of player with them that complements the whole thing. Hey, Jason Lowry, thank you so much for joining. I'm so pumped for this. I hope we sign Tanner Scott very soon. Yes, Ken Warm. I think all Dodgers fans, it's getting to be Christmas time, right? And so, hey, we're wanting that Christmas present early. You know, all your parents let you open that one Christmas present early. It was usually like your toothbrush or like the least exciting present you had, like a pair of underwear or something like that. And you're like, oh, damn, well, that sucked. That was kind of anticlimactic. And then you're thinking, well, at least I got that out of the way early, right? But hey, not in this case. We want our Christmas present early, and we want it to be the best present under the tree, and that present would be Tanner Scott, right? Ken Warm, thank you so much for joining. What's going on with the Dodgers? That's what we're talking about tonight. Showtime, at the report that they were unwilling to give up Lux for a top 3 closer, and Devin Williams doesn't sit well with me. Doesn't sit well with me either. I don't think that's entirely true. I think there's more to the story, as Paul Harvey would say. As a matter of fact, my Aunt Cindy, that was her uncle, so my aunt's uncle is Paul Harvey. There's always more to the story. I just can't imagine that if the package was Gavin Lux and Hunter Fiducia, that the Dodgers said no to Devin Williams. And if they did, I'm going to say this very emphatically. I have said this a million times. The Dodgers front office has not missed so far in this offseason. That would be a miss, in my opinion. And that would be a rather large miss. Having said that, I think the saving grace that you have there is that you still have Tanner Scott available. So let me ask you this. If they missed Devin Williams because they didn't trade Gavin Lux and Hunter Fiducia, but they go get Tanner Scott, and then they use Gavin Lux and Hunter Fiducia to go get the center fielder or shortstop that you want, you'd be happy in that scenario, correct? So it's incomplete at this point. I don't think yet you could say it won't sit well with you until you see the final product. I think if we roll into spring training and they don't get Tanner Scott and then they still didn't get Devin Williams because they didn't give up Gavin Lux and Hunter Fiducia, and at that point it does actually look like Mookie Betts is going to be the everyday center fielder, I think at that point, what you're saying right there is not sitting well with me. I think you would have a very valid point as far as that goes. So I'm going to say it very, very vividly, very point blank. I think not getting Williams is a mistake for the Dodgers. But again, you still have Tanner Scott lurking behind that. Hey, Elisheva, thank you so much for joining. I always appreciate your great support. And thank you so much for your wonderful words about me doing these shows by myself. It's not as easy as it looks. You have to have a lot of content to talk about. And I do my Oklahoma State show right in front of this. And tonight, my usual co-host on that show couldn't join. So this is my second show in a row by myself. So anytime that you can give a wonderful set of words and a compliment like that, like Elisheva just did, it is always, always greatly appreciated. So, hey, I think we had a super chat. Let me get to it. Yeah, right here. $4.99. Jason Lowry, thank you so much. What a rock star you are. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate just the growth of this channel. And I mean, just looking at the crowd logging in right now, we have 189 people in the lobby. We only have 28 likes, folks. Hit that like button if you haven't done it. But that's not the point. 189 people. So flattered. It's so humbling that so many people want to come and talk Dodgers baseball on this channel. Jason, you're a rock star. Hey, Casey, love the show, brother. Best Dodgers content on YouTube for sure. Well, thank you so much. Some of these other Dodgers guys are hard to listen to. Appreciate you, man. Well, Jason, can't tell you how much I appreciate you. You're an absolute rock star. Thank you so much for that wonderful super chat. Hey, Wilmer Edwards, Dodgers don't give prospects many chances. They absolutely do not. Daniel Berry Sports Highlight, what is up? It is Sunday night in the big town, and we are talking some Dodgers baseball, the baseball channel. Do you have one lined up with Edgardo Henriquez? I have reached out to Edgardo. I have talked to Edgardo. He has not responded whenever I've asked him for an interview. So I've reached out to all these guys. The ones that you see are the ones that respond. There are some guys that like Edgardo, I'm sure he's nervous about a translator and that kind of thing. So I've reached out. What I'm hoping to do is grab one with him in Oklahoma City next year if I don't get in the offseason. I promise you I'll get you an interview with Edgardo at some point. Raymond Journey, is Alex Freeman a future all-star? Now, I wouldn't say all-star. I don't think he'll ever have the bat-to-ball skills to be an all-star. I think he's a Corey Seager light version. And what I mean by that is I think he's probably a better athlete than Corey Seager. I think he has a world of potential to hit the ball a long ways and hit a lot of home runs. And I think he's a good athlete defensively and a good defender. I see a good major league player that can have periods of time where he's, kind of like a really above league average player. I think he's very good. Does he have all-star capabilities? I would say that he has the ability to be the level of shortstop that like Will Smith is at catcher. But again, shortstop has more competition, I think, than probably the catcher position does. So future all-star, let's go one step at a time. Let's get him to the major leagues first. Here's another reservation I have with saying that, Raymond. Nobody's higher on Alex Freeland's ability than I am, trust me. But we just mentioned it just a minute ago. Wilmer said this. The Dodgers don't give prospects very many chances. So what opportunities are you going to get? Do you see the Dodgers? We just talked about, hey, do you turn this over to Mookie Betts whenever he's in his prime and you signed all these guys? Is Mookie Betts at shortstop really your plan here, right? So is this going to be the team you build and you're going to turn it over to a rookie shortstop? So the opportunity, I just question the way the Dodgers do things, whether Alex Freeland will even have the opportunity to ever get settled in enough to become a everyday player and be comfortable enough to actually become an all-star. So do I think he has the capabilities and ability to possibly have that type of ceiling? Yeah, probably. Do I think he'll get the opportunity? I think if you just look at hardcore data and facts as far as the way the Dodgers use prospects, I think you'd have to doubt the fact that even as talented as he is, that he would ever actually have the opportunity to do something like that. NorCal Eddie thinks this is a great start to the offseason. No doubt Blake Snell is a great start, 100%. Good start, and can't wait to see what Freeman is cooking. Jason Lowry, thanks in advance. Know it'll be a great show. Thank you so much for joining. Can't wait to see what's going to happen in the future. Ken Warm, I want Tanner Scott, no doubt. Showtime, Tanner Scott, Teo, and Roki. That's what you have left. So the predictions were a starter, got that. Blake Trinan, re-signing, got that. We predicted that Buehler likely will not re-sign with the Dodgers. So far, we've been right on that one. No real talk about Jack Flaherty. We didn't feel like that he would probably be re-signed. So far, that has been happened. We predicted Devin Williams would get traded. That definitely happened. We predicted the Dodgers would not get Willy Adames. That happened. We also said that we didn't think the Dodgers would get Juan Soto. The Dodgers did not. We have predicted all along that Roki Sasaki will be a Dodger. We are definitely sticking with that. There are two different international signing periods. There's the one that's getting ready to end, and then you have another one in January. So to take that prediction one step further, I also think that Roki Sasaki will sign after spring training starts, and then he won't be added, or at least he not sign. But I don't think he will be added to the 40-man roster until after spring training starts, because he won't be added until you can put your 60 DIL guys, you can take them off the 40-man, and then Roki Sasaki can take one of their places. We'll see if the Dodgers need those spots, but right now those roster spots are running out, especially if they get a Tanner Scott and if they get a Teo Hernandez. It's going to have to be a situation something like that. So we said Sasaki would be a Dodger. I still think that's going to happen. We've stated several different times we thought that now is the time to trade Gavin Lux and that the Dodgers would shop both him and Hunter Fiducia. That definitely has happened. And we also said that we didn't think the Dodgers would even seriously entertain trading for Nolan Arenado. And that's happened as well. So in a lot of ways, this has been a very predictable offseason. It's been a good one, as we mentioned just a minute ago. I think some of the surprises for me, at least, or even us at Dawgs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, it's surprising to me that the Dodgers did not trade for Devin Williams, that they have the ability to do so. I think they can use his type of pitcher, his profile, and so I'm very surprised at that. I'm not surprised the Dodgers are playing the leverage. I still think it's leverage game on Mookie. I'm not surprised they're making that comment about Mookie at shortstop. I will be surprised if that actually happens, and that's their plan at shortstop for next year. And then I'll tell you another thing that came out of the blue for me was the Michael Conforto signing. So another thing that we've said that we think is going to happen, we think Teo will get signed. That's still squarely up in the air. I would say I am less confident now than I ever have been. I know Dave said the other day he's praying that the Dodgers get Teo back. And still left, Tanner Scott, can you get him? Still left, are you going to get a center fielder or a shortstop? And I will say this, the Dodgers aren't done, and that's not my opinion, because Brandon Gomes, vice president, came out and said the other day, the Dodgers aren't done. So whatever that means, that the Dodgers aren't done, they're not done. Does that mean they're not done acquiring like the A-level guys like Tanner Scott? Or does that just mean that they still feel like they need to fill out their roster on the margins? So what does "we're not done" mean from BG, Brandon Gomes? We're going to find out. My sneaky suspicion is when he says that we're not done, when he comes out and makes a comment like that, he's doing that to get Dodgers fans excited. And I just don't think you make a comment. I don't think you come out and make a comment when you're in the position he is that, hey, we're not done yet. I don't think you make that comment to go get a relief pitcher that you're going to sign to a minor league contract that has 300 major league innings that just is kind of organizational depth. I don't think you make a statement like that to go get that guy, but we shall see. Hey, did he freeze, or is that for anybody else? I'm not sure. If I froze, let me know. Hey, Showtime, Hyun-Suk Yang. Matter of fact, I have reached out Showtime to Hyun-Suk Yang. He is not confident quite enough in his English abilities to come on for a straight-up interview. I'm going to send him questions. If you have a question you would like for me to ask him, he is going to answer them like I used to do with Jesus Calise. Hey, by the way, Jesus Calise, another one we're going to talk about this week. So I guess I froze up for some people. I hope I came back, but anyways, Hyun-Suk Yang, I do have an interview coming with him. It will not be digital. It will be his typed out answers, and it'll be in written form. So you'll have to go to my website, DodgersDaily.net, to see that. So I will have more thoughts on him, Showtime, after I get done talking to him and I do a pretty deep dive as far as all of his opportunities and how good. I know I've talked to him on a couple of different occasions. I know all of his stuff. I really haven't seen a whole lot about him, a video of him to really take a deep dive yet. And so I'm going to go ahead and hold off on any kind of really in-depth thoughts on him until I do that deep dive. That's typically what I like to do. Hey, 100% Casey, Dodgers could have easily beat the Yankees package. I totally agree. Hey, Baseball Channel, here's kind of a hot take. Baseball Channel saying we don't need Tanner Scott because we have Edgardo Henriquez. So there you go. Hey, Chilltown All-Star, Tanner Scott is better than Devin Williams. Williams got wrecked by the Mets in the NLDS. Scott was the only pitcher that got all of his outs against the Dodgers. Yes, I will say this, though, that Devin Williams, yes, if you take anybody in short bursts, you can make a case for anybody. Austin does a great job with that argument. But Devin Williams is one of the best closers in the game. So he's very, very good. And I like the trade aspect of it to free up second base for Mookie Betts. Hey, David Razor, teachers and coaches make the best podcast. You learn about things you care about baseball, and if they are the best, Casey and the Dog Pound, you also have tons of fun. David Razor, thank you so much for joining, and thank you for those wonderful comments. Says thanks, Dogs, as well. Those are just very flattering comments. Thank you so much. Michael Lopez, the positive from Tanner Scott is that it won't cost any money from the international money that we are saving for Sasaki. Yes, no doubt, and that also helps the Dodgers sign Roki Sasaki because of that a little bit extra international bonus pool money that they have available now. Ken Warm, how about Dustin May or Bobby Miller in the bullpen? I would say Dustin May first, but with a six-man rotation, I think as it sits right, I don't think the Dodgers are going to go get another starter. So I think your last two rotation guys are Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May. And so whoever's not in that could move to the bullpen. I have said many times, I love the stuff, that sinker of Dustin May. I think literally he could come out of the bullpen throwing 98-mile-an-hour sinkers and get 3 outs. And kind of like, you know how Mariano Rivera used to come out throwing like one pitch. He'd throw that cutter, and everybody knew it was coming. Nobody could hit it. I think in one-inning settings, Dustin May could come out throwing 100-mile-an-hour sinkers and turn that thing into right-handers and sink it a little bit and literally throw nothing else and be one of the best high-leverage relievers in the game. So I'd love the idea of Dustin May in relief, and you have plenty of depth to be able to do that. You could bring Bobby Miller into that 6th spot. You could put Landon Knack in that 6th spot. You could put Ben Kasparius, Justin Robleski, eventually Jared Karros. If Nick Frasso gets healthy, he could come in. I don't know exactly when he's going to be back. Maybe even if a Jackson Ferris makes it up. So you have plenty of options for that 5th and 6th spot in the rotation. It'll be interesting whichever one the Dodgers choose. I do think, though, that Dustin May and Tony Gonsolin will be the first two that get those 5th and 6th slots. So, hey, Baseball Channel, listen to this. I'm a Cardinals fan as well, but Ryan Helsley would be an amazing trade to the Dodgers. Relief pitcher of the year and possibly best reliever in baseball. I tell you what, Baseball Channel, I'm going to pass that one over to Austin for his show tomorrow night. I'm going to let Austin chew on Ryan Helsley and have him give you his thoughts from an analytical perspective on what he would think about that trade, because that sounds like a good deal to me. But to be honest with you, I don't think I could do justice in even trying to make it a fence one way or the other, because I don't know enough about Ryan Helsley I know just about as much as you do, right? Or not you, but anybody else would, I should say. You know, I'm sure you probably know more about Helsley than I do. So Austin will be able to dive all into that. And so I'm going to pass that to him and let him dive into that tomorrow. So is Mookie working out to increase Luck's trade value? Yeah, that's kind of what we talked about just a minute ago. Mookie, as Showtime is saying, just a stopgap at shortstop. Yeah, I would have loved to have Damas. Ha-Seong Kim, that's another one. I've been wanting Ha-Seong Kim. Now, if they move Mookie to shortstop long enough to get Kim healthy, I'm all about that. I love the bat-to-ball skills. I love just having another certified baseball player, a guy that's going to put the ball in play, make winning baseball plays. I have said that all offseason. I am all about Ha-Seong Kim. We'll see how it goes. Hey, BL Boyd, I'm not going to lie. This Teo thing has me a little scared too. This is the least, I literally went into the offseason thinking re-signing Teo was going to be a slam dunk. I think a lot of that was, I just assumed Teo would want to be with the Dodgers, not necessarily for less money, but for less years and a higher AAV. So, I think the Dodgers could offer a higher AAV, less years. And if I'm Teo, the prospects of making more money per year while also winning World Series, to me, was a slam dunk. I just don't see where we're going wrong here. But again, it's not my money. It's not me having to make the decision on what type of millionaire I want to become. It's Teo's. And like you said, like I've been saying, I'm as worried about that now as I have been. Having said that, if the Dodgers don't get Teo, that opens up opportunities for a Dalton Rushing, maybe even a Ryan Ward, maybe a resurrection of James Outman, gives Andy Pajes more at-bats, or Brandon Gomes said it, BG said it, the Dodgers can go figure out how to go get another Michael Conforto type of guy, or get another guy that maybe an Anthony Santander, somebody like that could maybe duplicate or replicate what Teo would give you. Hey, Baseball Channel, Teo will not be a Dodger, lost likely. Yeah, it's getting concerning. I will say that. Chilltown All-Star, I think Dodgers are building up Lux trade value to get a natural shortstop. Then Mookie will go to second. I'm just telling you, man, I went over it. I won't go back over my whole long story I gave a little bit ago earlier in the show, but just the way, just nothing's adding up there. It doesn't add up to me. I am on that. Of course, I like the tinfoil hat, conspiracy theory type stuff, and so take that for what it's worth. But I'm with you on that. I think it's a leverage play, but we'll see. We'll see. Alfonso Lucio, front office is smoking, putting Mookie at shortstop. Yeah, that's definitely one way to put it. And again, they have not put him at shortstop yet. They have not made him. They've said it. It's one thing to say it, and it's not a lie. If they say it now and he's not the shortstop to start the season, that doesn't mean they lied. It just means things changed. And so, yes, as of today, if they started spring training tomorrow, is Mookie Betts the everyday shortstop? Yes. But there's still 2 months till the first pitch of spring training. And in those 60 some odd days, there is a lot that can change. So it can be both things. It could be, yes, as of today, Mookie Betts is the everyday shortstop. But no, by the time spring training rolls around, he is not. And that the Dodgers didn't lie. It's just that things change. It can be both things. So, hey, Crenshaw Grinder, thank you so much for joining. I don't like Mookie at shortstop either. Again, I think he could be an all-star caliber second baseman. I think he'll be league average at shortstop. I don't see the point in doing that. Baseball Channel, I'm going to say it. The Dodgers have a problem. They have way too many elite level prospects, but they also want a super team on the Dodgers level. Yeah, they're going free agency instead of trade because they're not trading any of these guys away, and you have a gigantic logjam, and it is very frustrating to watch Ryan Ward, Drew Avens, and Cody Hosey, and all of those types of guys just really struggle to find opportunity at the major league level. So, totally agree. Hey, Hosey needs to be traded. Definitely agree. Flat Life, I was really rooting for him to go in the Rule 5. Neither him or I really thought Ryan Ward would go, but he did not. So, I was surprised by that, disappointed. So, at this point, I would love to see Cody Hosey traded. Not because I don't love Cody Hosey, actually for the exact opposite, because I do like Cody Hosey. I want to see him get his best opportunity, and that is point blank not going to be with the Dodgers. He knows that. If he's watching this, I'm not telling him anything he doesn't know, and I'm not saying anything he wouldn't agree with because there's better opportunity somewhere else. So trade the guy. Give him a chance somewhere else, and then get something in return for him, whatever that may be, right? Crenshaw Grinder, hey, we need to shore up our outfield. Well, if you got Teo, that finishes it. Because if Mookie's at short, you already have You already have Conforto in one of the spots, which I think he's going to be an everyday guy. It's $17 million. You don't go get $17 million to play every fourth day, in my opinion. So I think he's an everyday guy. Edmonds an everyday guy. If you sign Teo, there's your veteran everyday outfield. Now you have Andy Pages as the fourth outfielder. We'll see what the Dodgers do with a James Outman type guy. He still does have options, so he can stay in Oklahoma City this year. But this is last year to do that, so we'll have to see. Hey, Flat Lice, they also need to let go of Grove. Problem is he has one more option left, and the Dodgers need that flexibility to be able to send guys back and forth. So if you get rid of Grove, who's a margins guy, he's not a high leverage guy, he's a margins guy. If you get rid of Grove and you replace him with another margins guy, like a Brent Honeywell, but yet that next margins guy like Brent Honeywell does not have options and can't be sent down to Oklahoma City, now you have to keep that guy in the margins on the 26-man roster the entire season. And that creates a logjam and a lack of flexibility that is not advantageous for the Dodgers. So until Michael Grove runs out of options, he is the type of margins guys that makes sense to a loaded roster like the Dodgers because they don't have to keep him on the 26-man roster. So that's why a guy like that stays on it, and that's why it's valuable. If you're going to make a case that it is valuable, that would be it. Flat Life, they need to package Grove, Outman, Hosey, Ward for other minors or another outfield help. Baseball Channel, Cody wants to be traded. Yeah, I'm just telling you. I'm not saying anything he wouldn't agree with, no doubt. Johnny Owen, why is Mookie playing shortstop? Wasn't that a failed experiment? I wouldn't say failed. I think failed's I'd say you're on the right track there, Johnny. I would say the word failed is a little bit too strong, right, of a word. I wouldn't say it's failed. I think Mookie Betts did okay, but Tommy Edman was better. But you're saying put Tommy Edman in center or at shortstop and then put whoever else in center field. They can do that too. I mean, hey, they can change their mind. Again, I think they're saying this to create leverage for Gavin Lux in a trade scenario. So I'm not freaking out about it yet. When I heard it, I was like, huh? What? I mean, hey, man, nobody brags on the front office more than I do. I went on and on the other show about how they've been completely 100% spot on with everything they've done, and I meant it, right? And so when I first heard that, I was like, this doesn't make sense. You're making all these great moves. You're putting this great roster together, all to make a guy that's still in his prime become average instead of all-star. I mean, so it's not making sense. I'm going to have to see it to believe it on the Mookie Betts deal. Hey, Orlando, thank you so much for joining. I'd like to see Dodgers trade Major League ready youngsters for lower-level prospects to reload the farm. The Dodgers are very good at doing that. Michael Busch being a perfect case scenario. The Dodgers just absolutely worked complete magic trading Michael Busch and Yency Almonte, too. Almonte got hurt last year. But to get Jackson Ferris and Zaire Hope in return, come on, man. The Dodgers absolutely slayed in that situation. Yang Yi, I don't think most of the major league teams want to trade with the Dodgers. That's a good point because every time you trade with the Dodgers don't lose. They win those trades. Dodgers may have to keep spending on free agents. That's a good point, is that, hey, we saw the package that went to the Yankees, that the Yankees gave back for Devin Williams, but would the Brewers have been as kind to the Dodgers in terms of would they have wanted an equal package back that they got from the Yankees? Did they want to trade with the Dodgers? That kind of deal. That all plays into it. Those are parts of it that we will absolutely never know. Flat Life Fiducia really needs to be let go or should request a trade. Yeah, just kind of sitting in AAA, really not getting any chances whatsoever. Andre Lipsius is a good player. I agree with you, Baseball Channel. Another one that had major league experience, at least a little bit, from the Tigers coming over. Did a great job and just got no opportunity. So, yes, we have many, many different studs. Just a log jam. There's so much talent. It's very difficult for guys to get any kind of opportunity whatsoever. So, reading some of these comments we have here, we have just a wonderful crowd logged in. We have over 200 people. 66 likes. Make sure and hit that like button if you have not done yet. If you have not done that yet, Jack, am I the only one who doesn't care if we re-sign Teo? He will age and can't play defense. I don't want Teo for 4 years, Jack, and I think that's the problem with the Dodgers. The reason why I wanted Teo is because I thought the Dodgers could get him for 3, which I think makes sense. I think 3 years, whatever AAV. I mean, not, when I say whatever AAV, I don't mean like ridiculous, but, within reason. 3 years, whatever AAV, 4th year option. I think that's what the Dodgers thought it was going to take to get him, and all of a sudden he had more suitors than what everybody thought was going to happen. And now you're looking at him wanting 5 and the Dodgers trying to figure out if they want to give 4. And so I'm with you there, Jack, at 4 years. Oh, boy, I'll say this. At 4 years, if the Dodgers go ahead and say yes, I'm not going to complain about it. I would celebrate at 3 years, and I would be a hard no at 5. So that's kind of where I sit with that. Alfonso Lucio, sucks to say, but Giants, Padres, and D-backs have a better shortstop than the Dodgers. I think you can change that. If you get Hassan Kim and get him healthy, I think you can change that. And if you have Mookie at second, that's really good. History Man, thank you so much for joining. When are Dodgers going to officially re-sign Kershaw? That will be after spring training starts, after all the 60-day IL guys are removed off of the 40-man roster, just like last year. That's when Kershaw will get re-signed. I think the last time yeah, you're exactly right. So, actually, I don't think they didn't actually put Kershaw on the 40-man until spring training had started last year for that very scenario. Ken Warm, I could live with Mookie at short part-time because we have Taylor, Edman, and Rojas. That's just one position. Ken, I understand what you're saying. Those are good players. I get it. I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I just can't put my head around Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Teo Hernandez, Tyler Glasnow, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Blake Snell, Shohei Ohtani, re-signing Blake Trinan. I just can't get my head around having that roster and yet putting a part-time defender at the most valuable defensive position on the field. I don't disagree that those are good players, but I can't go with a part-time player there and say that that's the best plan. I can't wrap my head around that. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just kind of where I'm at. Flat Life. I also want to see if Andre Lipsy is getting a chance. Good player, no doubt. Yang Yi, Cardinals closer Helsley will be available for trade. That is a question. So if you the Helsley deal, if you want to comment on that, leave a comment right now. Mike Lopez, we need to trade players. Not everyone is going to make the 26. Totally agree. Trade him or play him, Mike. That is correct. And again, Yang Yi, we will cover Helsley tomorrow. Austin will cover the possible trade packages, the type of player, pitcher, what it would take to get them, and all those situations. That's a good topic to bring up. I'm going to shoot that to Austin. Make sure he covers that tomorrow. Do we even still got Amaya? No, we traded Jacob Amaya. This is Book of YT. We traded Jacob Amaya for Miguel Rojas a couple of years ago. Barnes, this will be his last year with the Dodgers. The Dodgers will never cut Austin Barnes. It'll just be one of those situations to where they don't re-sign him. And so that will be at the end of this year. So history man, if Teo is gone, at least he helped in the Dodgers winning their second title in the century and was the first Dodgers player to win the home run derby. Very good point. That's why we love Teo, and he fits so perfect in the clubhouse. Yeah, that's fine. He showed up to do his best, right in front of his big contract, which Flat Life is about 100% correct on that. So, hey, that is the part of this show that I wanted to talk about in terms of all of the hot stove talk. What we have now, please stick around. We have a wonderful Down the Farm. Again, we're going to be talking to Jared Karros. We're going to be talking to Kenny George. We're going to be talking to Jose Rodriguez, who had the highest swinging strike percentage. And we're going to be talking to Peter Hubeck. You're going to be hearing all about their styles of play. You're going to be hearing from them. And it's all coming to you right now. So, hey, let's not waste more time. Let's get right to it, and let's take a trip down the farm. Boy, what a great season you had. 2.79 ERA, your whip, walks, and hits per inning, just at 108, and you had 74 strikeouts in 67.2 innings. Wow, what a season. Talk about it.
Yeah, no, it was an awesome season. I think the thing I was most excited about was just kind of the jump from 2023 to 2024. I feel like I made a lot of strides in a lot of areas, so I'm excited to continuing to build off of it, and really looking forward to the 2025 season.
So can you talk about your focus towards command and execution?
Yeah, that's kind of always been my thing, is just being able to move the ball around the zone, throw all my pitches. So when I get in that groove, I get into a good rhythm, and my body just feels very in sync, and I'm able to put the ball where I want it and command all my pitches. So that's kind of the rhythm that I get into.
You're so close, and you're pitching better than you ever have. How do you keep those thoughts out of your head, or do you embrace those thoughts?
I think definitely they come through your head, but at the end of the day, you just got to go out there and pitch. That's all you can really control. You can't really control the other stuff, but definitely seeing your teammates kind of move up and pitching, seeing them in the World Series like Ben, and it's pretty awesome to see, and definitely very exciting.
Okay, still 92, 94. Is that where we're sitting right here?
Yeah, that's kind of where I sit, and then I can get it up to 95, 96. But yeah, usually that's about the range.
Are we still trying to bump the velo? Are we still trying to work movement, or how are you approaching that?
I think I'm not really doing too much to like try and force the velo. I think it's kind of something that's come along. I was throwing harder this year than I was last year. So just continuing to get stronger in the weight room, making my body move better, and different aspects of that. So that's kind of the main focus.
Yeah. Can you take us through your pitch mix?
Yeah, I go four-seam fastball, changeup, slider, curveball. Slider's traditional bullet slider, changeup, circle change, and then curveball 12-6. So that's my arsenal. Is
your changeup more of the pull the string, or does it have tumble and fade to it?
No, it's more the pull the string. It's a pretty slow pitch. It is a big differential with my heater, so that's kind of the main thing with it.
Let's go right to it, man. August 2nd, I think that was the date. You had 5 hits. Cameron Decker had 10 RBIs. You scored 5 runs. You stole a base that game. Tell us about that day.
That was one of those games where, everyone's hot, a lot of energy in the dugout. It was just one of those games where, like, you're kind of at the plate and you're kind of just unconscious, and anything that's thrown at you, you're just hitting it. It was probably one of the most fun games of the year. Everyone was hitting. The vibes are great. I think that was like the most runs we scored in the game all year, actually. So, I mean, it was a great game. My best performance, probably, I'd say. I should have been 6 for 6, but they didn't want to give me the 6th hit. But it was still great.
What was the 6th hit? I don't remember that one.
It was, they brought in their closer, and he was throwing like 101, 102. And I slapped the ground ball to like second base, and I beat it out. Or like, no, it was like a run on first, and I slapped it to second base, and we were both safe, and they didn't call it a hit. They called it a fielder's choice.
Oh, or you'd have been 6 for 6 like Cameron, right? Mm-hmm. So who had the better day there that day, Kenny George or Cameron Decker?
Oh, he cleared me for sure, for sure. He had 10 RBIs. I think he had a home run that game. I think he had like 2 doubles. He had a crazy game, insane.
He did. Right. So what was it like getting to play next to Josue De Paula and Zaire Hope before he got hurt?
Oh man, like that was the best outfield I've ever played. Like from left to right, like that was the best outfield I've ever been a part of. Hopefully I get to play with those guys again next year. I mean, it was just a lot of fun. Like we got along real well. They're both great players, great players. Zaire was huge still. Dude's a great player, even better person. I mean, it's a dangerous lineup when we're all in the lineup and we're all out there in the outfield. It's a dangerous lineup for sure.
Heck of a year, man. 279, 389 on base average. So talk about how you evaluated your year.
I think it was a good first year, a good first full year. Definitely something to build off of. I did end up making a swing change about not halfway through the season, but maybe a month through the season. It was a learning curve. But I feel like I handled it well, and I feel like I ended the year off real strong. So going into year 2, I feel like I'm going to have a great year this coming up year. But I definitely learned a lot. Learned a lot just about myself as a person and as a player. But the staff was behind me like 100% with the whole swing change. They didn't expect me to go out and perform as well as I did after making those changes. So that was also nice to just see my game not really be too affected by the adjustments that I had to make. But I mean, I think I had a pretty good first year for sure.
Not to get into details and to get into the weeds of the details, but the swing changes, was it to get the ball in the air more? Was it to get the bat on the ball more? What was the purpose of the swing changes?
Just to try to get the ball in the air more. It's still a work in progress, but I think we're trending in the right direction. So, like I said, it's just a work in progress and just trying to build off of it every year.
So your bunt game, man, you had several. Do you know how many bunt base hits you had this year? Do you keep track of that?
Oh, no. I know I had a good amount, though.
Yeah.
I score around a lot.
Yeah, so one really cool thing about you is that you can push bunt it to third base, obviously, but you had several drag bunts, too. So talk about your bunt game, how you work on it, and how important that is to you.
We try to bunt multiple times a week. I remember when I first came to Rancho, my first short season, and I was asking to work on some bunting, and I guess they didn't do it much. And then after I got there, it was like a normal thing, and everyone wanted to bunt. It was funny. But yeah, I try to work on it at least a few times a week during the season. Get some bunts down and just keep the feel of it. My biggest thing is staying there long enough to actually get it down.
Yeah.
I like to get antsy and get out of the box real early.
Yeah.
Even though if I just place it decently, I'll be safe. But I love bunting. I love it. I think it's a lost art too.
So the finished product of Kenny George, you said you're not a finished product yet. What if you had your druthers, this is exactly what I want to be when I'm finished product, what would that look like?
I feel I would want to be a 10, 15 home run guy.
Oh, wow. Nice.
60 bags.
Oh,
60 bags, 30 doubles, and gold glove defense.
Wow. Nice. That's fantastic.
And I feel that's all attainable other than the 10 to 15 home runs. I feel it's more going to be 5 to 10.
Yeah.
But, I think it's all attainable for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So you're an extremely confident young man, which I absolutely love. I gravitate towards confidence. So what's the difference in your mind between confidence and cockiness?
Got to be a little bit of both, honestly.
I agree. I love you said that. I love you said that. There's too much failure, man. You have to have all of it, right?
Yeah, for sure. You gotta in this game, you definitely gotta enjoy your wins. I definitely, there's definitely ways to go about it, ways to be respectful for sure. But you got to be a little cocky, Anyone that's any good is a little bit cocky and is very confident. So, it's just something you got to have.
So you had a 3.38 ERA last year, a WHIP of 116. Talk about the year you had and the momentum you built.
I had never imagined having a year like this, but it was awesome because I've always been a reliever before, and this year, the Dodgers wanted me to do this transition to the starting role, and I maybe didn't have a lot of starts, but all my outings were in that kind of role, and having being a piggyback or start sometimes and getting bulk innings, and I mean it was awesome. I love pitching like this. It's been a great opportunity.
You've always been very good. You've always been very talented, but you definitely took a big leap forward this year. What would you attribute to just making as many strides as you did?
I think I've always had a good strike percentage and strikeout to walk rate ratio, and I I think since I proved that in the last years, that's why they took the decision to put me in this role.
So the swinging strike percentage, the swing and miss that you have on the mound, what do you attribute to that? I mean, is it a mentality? Is it an execution piece? Is it a new pitch that you brought in, or what is this? What would you attribute to it?
I think it's like a mix of all of that. I think we have worked a lot with the pitching staff, with like mentality and execution of the pitches. But something that stands out for me, at least, is like the deception on my mechanics and how far I release the ball. I have a pretty good extension, and also like since last year, I started adding a lot more pitches. I used to throw back in 2022. I used to throw just fastball and slider, and since then I've been adding changeup, curveball, cutter, sinker. So that also plays.
Yeah. So you mentioned you have a sinker, your two seam there, and a four seam. Can you tell us what your hit and sit velos were last year?
For the four seam, I topped to 97, and I've been sitting 92 to 95. Also, like getting used to the starting role, it has also like made me be a little bit down in my average, but we're working on that for the next years.
Yeah.
And for the two seam, I like it sits around 92 to 93, but I've topped it at 95.
Yeah, you know how much movement that two seam has? Is it quite a bit?
It doesn't have that much of movement. Like either my four seam and my two seam don't have that much of movement. My four seam is like around 14 to 15 vertical up to 17 the most.
Yeah.
But like around 8 to 10 horizontal.
Yeah.
And for my two seam is backwards. So around 8 to 10 vertical and up to 15, 16 in horizontal.
So your four seam and two seam have always been great pitches. Your slider really took on a whole different life this last year. But tell us how you use your four seam and your two seam and how you set hitters up with it.
Well, mostly with my four seam and two seam, I use the four seam to get to the top of the zone, and two seam I will use it to get like in and down for the righties, and most of the time to get ahead on the count, or if I want to like just get a weak contact, that will play really good.
So your slider was definitely your strikeout pitch. I mean, you upped your usage of your slider quite a bit last year. There was times to where you're throwing your slider as much or more than your fastball, right? So talk about that slider pitch and how it got so good last year.
Right now I really think that I feel like my nastiest pitch right now is my changeup.
Okay.
But I will say that my best pitch is my slider, because my slider is a gyro slider or a bullet slider. So it's easier for me to get it for a strike or throw it for a strikeout pitch. And since it's at the release, it looks a lot like my fastball. It will play it. That's why it gets so much swing miss.
This last season was easily your best season as a professional. You've kind of worked your way up perfectly in a progression. You had an ERA of just 3.05, an average against of 184. You had a whole bunch more strikeouts than you did innings pitched. Talk about this great year.
Yeah, I think, looking back at it, I was pretty happy. Some positive, some nice stuff to work on for sure. But overall, definitely happy with kind of how I'm progressing. I feel like I have a lot better idea of who I am as a pitcher. So it's been really fun.
You're a guy who you said, I've talked to you a couple times, hey, I want to sit 96. Like right now I can hit 96, 97, something like that. But you really have felt like that you could actually sit at 96. So where are we at with the velo?
Yeah, I think this velo it's ticked up probably at least a mile and a half from the year before. So it's around probably mid 94s. So still climbing and still kind of working toward that hopefully 96 goal, but feeling a lot better, feeling super strong.
Let's talk about that big curveball and how that works for you in a professional set. I know, like, you could wipe high school hitters out. You got drafted directly out of high school. You could wipe high school hitters out with it, right? But I'm sure you've had to adjust it or at least change the way you use it in professional ball. So talk about your big curveball.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like you said, the curveball, that was kind of my bread and butter coming out of high school. And just really learning how to use it. And like, obviously professional hitters are a lot different, and they get better as you move up. So what I've kind of worked on this past year is just really specific counts that either I can steal a strike with the curveball or get a swing and miss with the curveball. So it's almost like it's still one curveball, but it's broken up into different usages at this point.
Yeah. Two different purposes, huh?
Exactly. Right.
So as you're getting me over, the one that you steal for a strike, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does it break less or does it break more and you just have to start it higher?
It's honestly more like vision and where you're starting the pitch for me, for what it's been. So it's pretty metrically very similar pitches, but just like where you start it.
Yeah. So you didn't have a slider when you came to the Dodgers, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So your slider's slowly becoming one of your better pitches. So talk about where your slider's at right now.
Yeah. So the past year was the first full year that I've had it, and I've been just a lot more comfortable with it. And what I've realized, it's really, I feel like I'm a whole new pitcher with that pitch, honestly, just because I can control the strike zone really well and get it for swing and miss, 2 strikes when needed. So it's been huge. It's been such a game changer for me.
Yeah. Okay. So 4-seam changeup. We haven't talked about your changeup yet, but the curveball, the slider. So is that your mix still?
It is. That's my mix. I've kind of messed with the idea of mixing in a slight 2-seamer just for some ground balls. I think I had 0 double plays this year, which next year is going to be
really?
one of my
Well, yeah, they swing and miss too much on you, man.
Well, I think a big part of my game next year that I need to develop is the ground ball, just getting more ground balls and ending at bats earlier.
Yeah. So kind of in that same line, Dave Anderson calls it having a bridge pitch. Like
Right.
You have these big breakers, like I'm sure your slider has a lot of depth to it. Your curveball definitely does. So to give you a bridge, maybe like a cutter that's kind of in between those big breakers and your straight fastball. Have you worked on anything like that?
Well, so my slider is more of a bullet slider. So like statistically speaking, it's moving the least amount of inches, which is kind of funny, even less than the fastball. So that could
really?
be, yeah.
Huh,
So,
wow.
So my fastball I think it's averaging like 20 vertical and like around 8 horizontal. And the slider's more, like 3 and -3. So it's around 0 and 0. So it's quite literally moving the least amount, which is kind of a funny concept.
So if you could get just kind of a 2-seam that does the same thing, but turn right, that would be a big deal for you, wouldn't it?
Exactly. That's kind of the next step to my